Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, out here at Summerfest at the Hole-in-One Challenge. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Don't forget, coming up 1 hour from right now, the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Get you ready for Brewers baseball starting at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz out here at Summerfest. Also, time's running out if you haven't gone to thefanmilwaukee.com to have your chance to win tickets to see Adam Sandler. That's right, Adam Sandler and the You're My Best Friend Tour comes to Fiserv Forum on October 5th. All you have to do, have a chance to win, is go to thefanmilwaukee.com. It's right there on the front. Click on the link. And register to have your chance to win tickets to see Adam Sandler, You're My Best Friend Tour, October 5th at Fiserv Forum. Make sure to do that today. Joining us now, you can see his fine-looking face right there on youtube.com/@TheFanMilwaukee. Use that @ symbol, @TheFanMilwaukee. He is the one and only Chad Ryder from NFL.com. Chad, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hearing your intro to me, I'm going to say you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm not happy with you, to be honest with you. I was on my phone last night, you know, as we all do. We were on our phone looking at Twitter, whatever, watching the Brewers game, doing whatever. Kids are getting put to sleep, so I'm kind of just looking at my phone. And all of a sudden, I get a push notification, ding, ding, on my phone from the NFL. Oh, what's this? So I go down. Because, you know, sometimes it's breaking news. Somebody gets traded, whatever else. Chad Ryder. I'm like, oh, my boy. All right, let's see what this is all about. Do you not like the Packers anymore? Do you hate the Packers? I mean, you're a Wisconsin guy. What were you thinking? Let's talk about, first of all, where did the idea come from? You did a 7-round mock draft that redrafts everybody in the NFL. These are not just this last year's draft picks. This is every player. So Patrick Mahomes is available. Everybody's available in a full 7-round mock draft. So it's kind of like a fantasy football draft almost to a certain degree. So whose idea was this? Was this your brainchild? Did they tell you they wanted you to do this? How did this come about?
Well, about 4 years ago, I guess it was, they asked me to do it for the first time, just to, you know, give us something to talk about in between mini camp, training camp. And, you know, I think it's an interesting process to go through to try to figure this out, because it's kind of like a puzzle that you don't have a picture. You have no idea what it's supposed to look like, because we've never seen anything like this where you blow up the league and redraft everybody. So I've given it a shot, try to make it interesting, try to make people think, try to make people mad, and apparently, you know, I succeeded. So awesome.
Chad, what if the NFL actually ever did this? It said, hey, man, every 10 years, everybody's going back in the hopper and we're redoing everything. So, yeah, you may have a contract, but that contract's going to transfer to your new team when you get redrafted. You blow the thing up every 10 years with some gigantic made-for-TV event that would have the highest ratings ever in TV history. It would be phenomenal. But as a fan, you know, you're a Packer fan. Man, I got this stud running back we just drafted, and he's gone. Oh, my God, we only got him for 2 years. He's gone. It just happened to be at the wrong time. Or, man, I've had Tom Brady for 10 years, and he's gone. Right? I mean, that type of thing I think would be amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, some teams would love it, right? Like, hey,
yes,
we never thought we'd have a chance to get Tom Brady. Now we do. And so that's what kind of makes it interesting in terms of, you know, shaking things up a little bit.
No doubt about it. All right, so let's talk about the Packers, because that's the one we care about more than anything else. The one thing I wish you would have done, or whoever put this up would have done, would have been like the full-on every round in whatever order it was. But it's divided up by team with the numbers, so you kind of got to piecemeal it together a little bit. So Jamar Chase was the Packers' first-round pick. Why wide receiver over quarterback in round 1?
It's just terms of value. I think there's only so many quarterbacks are going to go above guys like Myles Garrett, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like the top guys.
Sure.
So once you get past that 15 or 16 group, then you have to go to the next group. And that's what makes it difficult, because when does that break happen? That's one of the more interesting things about this. Unlike a regular draft where, you've got a few quarterbacks are going to be at the top, but not like this. And the rest of the draft, when I'm putting it together, I kind of do it like a normal draft where maybe some guards, linebackers, tight ends maybe go a little bit later because of positional value, things like that. But with the quarterbacks, if you don't get one of the top guys, then you got to go to the next group of players, which leads us to the second round.
Which I hated. I think it was the worst pick. I didn't think you were capable of making such a bad pick, Chad Ryder. I love you to death, but my God, I would have been like, what was going on? Were you distracted, watching a good movie, clicked the wrong name, whatever, something happened to distract you? Cam Ward in the second freaking round. Like, if you look, we'll get to the rest of the draft, but like Abdul Carter's in the third round. I think I might have preferred that in the second round versus in the third round at this point. And I don't have, like I said, it's harder to read as far as like who was still on the board at 42 that was still a possibility. Like the Colts at 49, Russell Wilson went at 49 at that pick. Okay, fine, that is what it is. Not too much. 43 was Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle. I think I might have considered that at that point. Jahmyr Gibbs was 52 in the second round. Now you can debate value of running back and so forth. Aiden Hutchinson at 51, I definitely would have rather had over Cam Ward. But again, the issue is how many quarterbacks are off the board at that point, and how much longer can you wait if you don't take one in round two?
That's right. And that's the difficult part about this is, are these quarterbacks that aren't in the top 15, are they worth second-round picks? Are they worth third-round picks, fourth-round picks? That's the difficult part about it. The problem is because there's no trading up in these scenarios, you're kind of stuck where you're at. So if you don't take one at 42, you have to wait until 87. And there ain't much left at 87. I'll tell you that in terms of quarterback. You got Anthony Richardson, maybe Tyler Shough. Maybe some people love Tyler Shough. They'd rather have him. It's difficult at that point. And I have a lot of faith in Cam Ward. I think he's going to be very good coming out of the box. So that's kind of what I wanted to see, a dynamic playmaker getting the ball to Jamar Chase downfield because you know he can do that. You know he can run when he has to. And I think he's a guy that's going to stand up immediately and be a pretty good player.
It's our Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's out here at Summerfest, the Hole-in-One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and the Fan. Your chance to hit a hole-in-one in the island hole out here at Summerfest by hitting it over the water. Third round, this is a redraft done by Chad Ryder, who's joining us now from NFL.com. He's done for the last 4 years. So what Chad essentially did was he took the entire NFL, put them all into a hopper and said, all right, let's start over. So every team essentially gets to make picks. So Jamar Chase, he takes one for the Packers. He takes Cam Ward in the second round for the Packers. You take the rookie stud edge rusher, Abdul Carter, in the third round. I love that pick because every team needs a stud pass rusher, and he would definitely be it.
Yeah, and I mean, he may not be exactly the height and the length of some of the other guys that they've got on the edge, but he's shown he can play with his hand down, and he's explosive off the edge, and he can stand up if you ask him to do that at times, a former linebacker. So I thought by that point, the veteran pass rushers that I knew would go earlier were off the board. So at that point, you start looking at the rookies like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, these guys that haven't proved it in the NFL yet, but have the skills to really make an impact in their first year.
Chad, I want to know something else. I'm looking at the Lions draft that you had. You had Max Crosby 1, Kirk Cousins 2, Jake Matthews 3. T. Higgins got to the fourth round. I rather would have waited for a wide receiver than go Jamar Chase at 1 now that I see how far these wide receivers fell.
Yeah, well, like a regular draft, you don't really know that. You don't know going into the second, third round who's going to go. And, when you're doing this, some teams maybe load up on wide receivers, in rounds 1 and 2. But I try not to do it like a fantasy draft. I really tried to get every team meeting some need at one of their position groups, at least in the first 4 or 5 rounds. So they have a rounded roster. So I didn't really attack, wide receivers like that early on. So, yeah, maybe some of these guys that go in the fourth round that I have may go a little bit earlier if a team decides to go quarterback, wide receiver. They want to get those guys right away. That's possible, but I didn't approach it that way.
The Packers roster is Jamar Chase, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Xavier McKinney comes home to Green Bay, Christian Ben for the cornerback, Bernard Raymond, the offensive tackle, and Breece Hall at running back 7. The Lions roster, which I like much better, Max Crosby, Kirk Cousins, you can debate Kirk Cousins, fine, Jake Matthews, T. Higgins, Javon Hargrave, the defensive tackle, Bucky Irving, a stud, and Jahdae Barron at safety. I like the Lions roster better than I like the damn Packers roster.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how when you meet one need, and again, I wasn't going to overdo it on one position for any team. So if you're able to wait, and we see teams do this in the regular draft all the time, the Steelers, the Ravens, they wait to see what the board brings them. And they see that and that's like Bucky Irving, running backs again, even in a draft like this, could go a little lower than maybe you think their value is because of the depth at the position. Guys like Javon Hargrave came off injury. Is he going to be 100% healthy this year? He's a veteran player. What are you really getting out of him for this year? So, it's a crapshoot with some of these guys to know how healthy they're coming off after last year. Are they on the end of their career? Or are they still in the prime? You have to kind of think about those things and figure out where to place them.
Chet Ryder, NFL.com, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy C. Sparky Fifer with you on The Fan as we broadcast live from Summerfest at the Hole-in-One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and The Fan. So make sure, go check out his redraft, tweet at him and tell him he's nuts for taking Cam Ward in the second round and flood his timelines, have some fun with them. Well, I want to pick your brain on something because I've been being made fun of for quite some time about a couple of different things here. I don't know how far you think the Packers are away from doing anything significant. But I feel like if you added Hendrickson or TJ Watt to this defense, that is a huge upgrade and puts them in a much closer position to winning the NFC and being in the Super Bowl. I know you have to pay either one of them, whether it be Watt or Hendrickson. Yeah. And I just feel like this team, Goody specifically, just does not have the courage, to go do something crazy and try to go get one of these guys. Who cares if you give up a couple of first-round picks or whatever it ends up being at the end of the day? His first-round picks haven't been anything to write home about for the most part anyhow at this point. And your new president, Ed Policy, is like, hey, dog, you got 2 years left, and then we'll see what happens and kind of go from there. Now, I don't think they're getting fired. I don't think LaFleur is getting fired. I don't think there's a hot seat or whatever the case may be. But this is a dude saying, hey, man, I'm not really playing around here. Like, we're just not going to be guaranteed jobs forever. I want to go win a Super Bowl. He wants it on his resume, too. And if you're Goody, the easiest way to do that is get me a stud pass rusher to put opposite of Rashawn Gary. Now you can rush for. Now you can be legitimate with what Jeff Hafley wants to do on defense. I think it's a complete game changer. It just doesn't feel like there's any urgency whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's difficult because when they make those kind of trades, there's a risk involved because – one injury, and not only have you lost that guy for the year, but you've also lost the draft capital to try to replace him.
Right.
That's always in the back of your mind. And look, like the Milwaukee Bucks aren't afraid to do anything, right? And the Packers may take a lesson from them at some point.
Thank you.
Nobody, going into last year, nobody expected them to sign Xavier McKinney. Nobody expected them to go get Josh Jacobs, and they did those things. So they're starting to break out of the shell a little bit. So if they could get a good deal for those guys, a reasonable deal for those guys, I think they have to consider it. I'm not, I wouldn't go against you on that because I do think they need an impact defender to really make that next step. And if Jordan Love can make the next step, if the wide receivers can make the next step, then they would give the Lions and the Eagles a run for the money in the playoffs.
A lot of people have been speculating for a couple months now, but now that he's actually there, Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, the Packers will move one of these wide receivers maybe to Pittsburgh to give them somebody else to play with. To my surprise and shock, it took to the last year of his career possibly, Aaron Rodgers to actually work out with his wide receivers in the offseason, which apparently he's doing in Malibu now. Where was that this whole other time? I have no idea. The last time he did this was his first 2 years he worked out with James Jones and those guys out in California when he was a backup. I think that was the last time we've seen it. So congratulations to him for doing this. Do you, if you're the Packers, go down that road of exploring maybe moving one of these wide receivers?
Again, I think it depends on the what you get in return. We've seen injuries how they can cripple a receiving core.
Yep.
So I don't think just moving one just to move one makes a lot of sense, especially with Christian Watson. You don't know how he's going to be healthy. There's no guarantees that they're going to be stacked at receiver all year long. But if somebody in the middle of preseason decides somebody gets hurt, you're able to get second, third round pick for somebody that maybe you didn't expect, then you probably look at it at that point. But again, at corner and at wide receiver, you try to keep it as deep as possible in order to give Jordan Love the best chance he's got in taking that next step.
Chad Ryder, NFL.com. Follow him on Twitter at Chad_Ryder. On his Twitter account, it says NFL draft researcher / analyst with NFL media since 2011. Draftnik since 2001. Thanks for making me feel old with the 2001 reference. First. Secondly, it should just be the man at NFL.com. That should be in your little Twitter byline. The man.
Well,
at
it wouldn't have happened without you,
NFL.com.
Sparky. It wouldn't happen without you, Sparky, so I appreciate it.
Nonsense. No. But the man at NFL.com, Ian Rappaport, all that stuff. Get out of here. It's all about Chad Ryder at the end of the day. Chad, thanks so much for coming on, my friend. I appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll talk throughout the season.
Yeah, it sounds great, Sparky. Thanks.
You betcha. There he is, Chad Ryder. Follow him on Twitter at Chad_Ryder. Check him out at NFL.com. The next time he is on, I will definitely have him tell the story again if you don't know the story as far as how Chad Ryder got started. Because if you are listening right now and you're, I don't know, in high school, just out of high school in your 20s, you can do what Chad Ryder did. No question you can do what Chad Ryder did. How Chad Ryder got from Wisconsin all the way to NFL.com and all these steps that went along the way to get to where he is. He's a self-made dude. He did it just like you, I, or anybody else would do. So the next time he is on, I will have him tell that story because I think it's pretty inspirational stuff of how Chad Ryder got to where he is. So we'll talk about that next time. Charlie Hughes, my producer, who has a much better memory than me because he's much younger than I am, he will remember to have him tell that story, won't you, Charlie?
I'll do my best. Much better isn't really saying much compared to your memory. My memory's still not that great.
But it's better than mine. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. Potawatomi Sportsbook, we both remember how cool that place is. 6,500 square feet, 2 different levels. 2,000 square foot center screen up at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 30 sporting events at one time you can watch. Not to mention the fact that they have the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, right? 48 different beers on tap, a dozen different specialty cocktails. You've got burgers, you've got wraps, you've got sandwiches, you've got wings, 7 different types of wing sauces. All day brunch at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Homemade pastries and desserts every day on premise at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. This is the place to be. There is not a better place anywhere in this state, anywhere maybe in the Midwest, to go watch a sporting event than the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I always say reserve online your seat ahead of time. Now, you could be like, Sparky, I'll go down there. I'll be good. I'll find a seat. Yeah, well, guess what? My dumb self tried that multiple times, and I ended up standing the whole night. Trust me, reserve ahead of time. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Yes, there's going to be a nominal fee. But it goes towards your food and beverage for the night, which you're going to spend all of anyhow. So you might as well spend that money to reserve yourself a seat and then obviously get your food on top of it. It's a no-brainer. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. It is something that is definitely worth your time and effort. Coming up in the next segment, Giannis. Earlier in the show, John Henson came out and said on SiriusXM NBA radio that Giannis vetoed a Chris Middleton, Jimmy Butler deal earlier in their career. John Henson knows it for a fact. He was playing with Giannis when it went down. I want to talk about Giannis' veto power. How much power would you allow Giannis to have? Now, this is much different. This was earlier in his career compared to now. But even now, how much power would you allow Giannis to have? The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line, it is pretty simple. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. 77 degrees out here at Summerfest right now. Clear skies, it looks like, for the remainder of the night, which obviously is a good thing. A low of 68. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from Summerfest, baby, at the Hole-in-One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and the Fan. The Island Hole is where we are set up. Come on out here, take your swings, take your chances at the Island Hole. Prizes to be won. It's not easy, but it's worth an effort. It's worth a chance to hit it over the waters, cool waters of Lake Michigan. Plus, we're set up here close to the Generac Power Stage. We can see them from where we are set up, too. So come on out, hang out with us. I'm on the air to 5 o'clock, then from 5 until 6. He is Tommy Wirtz, host of the Leadoff Show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And I am just kind of checking something out here because Tommy just showed me something, and it looks like there's some rain possibly in the area. So I went to AccuWeather.com, and it says heavy rain and a thunderstorm starting in 11 minutes. Heavy rain and a thunderstorm starting in 11 minutes, Charlie. So hopefully they don't cancel the game before 5 o'clock, so Tommy at least can get through his show from 5 to 6, and then cancel the game if they're going to cancel it. Wait till Tommy's show is done, and then, we can wrap it up at that point.
Everybody wants to hear the hunk of love, man. At least let us do that.
And everybody wants to see the hunk of love. And that's why you should be on youtube.com/@thefanmilwaukee for all of our shows live streaming. The Pack-A-Day Radio Show with Andy Herman, weekday mornings 8 to 9. The Mason Crosby Show. Yeah, the Packers kicker. He does a show Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on The Fan. Here, Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis, weekday mornings here on The Fan. And then, of course, this show, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's with me, Steve Sparky Fifer. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 5, or 1 hour pregame show before Brewers baseball with the Leadoff Show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Earlier in the show, we played back some sound from John Henson, former first-round pick of the Bucks, former starting center forward for the Milwaukee Bucks. He was on NBA radio on Sirius XM radio yesterday, I believe, and talked about Giannis and veto power as far as the Bucks checking in with Giannis before they make moves, because obviously when you make a move to sign Miles Turner and you decide to cut or waive Damian Lillard and stretch it out over 5 years, everybody thinks Giannis is involved. What does John Henson say?
I know for a fact that also Giannis, when he was younger, they would call him about trades and do you want this guy or that guy? He'd be like, I don't want to listen, do your job. Like you do what you do, and we'll go from there. Specifically, there was a trade I talked about a long time ago, Chris Middleton for Jimmy Butler swap. Giannis was like, nah, we're not doing that. So that was the only time I ever seen him kind of stand up and say something. So if something's wrong, he will say something, but for the most part, let the front office do his thing. And I think the Bucks are going to be somewhat competitive with Kuzma. They got to add some pieces, but they'll be in the mix.
Again, we're going to ignore the Kuzma piece. We're not going to touch that. Well, everybody makes a mistake and slips up on a name. But I want to talk about the idea that he vetoed that deal, that he vetoed Middleton for Jimmy Butler. Now, earlier in the show, we asked, would you have done that deal if you were the Bucks? Would you have traded for Jimmy Butler and traded Chris Middleton? So we covered that part of it earlier. Now we're going to ask a different question around John Henson's comments. How much power would you allow Giannis to have at the end of the day if you're Bucks ownership? How much power would you allow him to have at the end of the day? Because everybody rips on LeBron James, who apparently is on his way out of L.A. But then again, everybody had Giannis on his way out of Milwaukee, so who knows if that's actually true. But everybody rips on LeBron James for his time in Cleveland, for his time in Miami, for the Lakers, right? As far as everything goes through LeBron. It's GM LeBron. They do what LeBron says, and that's just how it works when you have LeBron James. Okay, fine. Is that how we're doing with things here in Milwaukee? Is Giannis essentially having the yay or the nay when it comes to major deals? Whether it is making a deal for Damian Lillard, making a deal for Drew Holiday, signing and agreeing to terms with Miles Turner. Should Giannis have all the power to say yay or nay? Again, according to John Henson, he nixed a Jimmy Butler for Chris Middleton deal years ago when they called and asked him what he thought. So he definitely has veto power, which he always says, no, I don't. Well, John Henson just told you he does, and he was there when it happened. So that's all nonsense from Giannis to begin with. So now that we know this is apparently fact, according to John Henson, and why would he lie about this? If that's the case, and you're the Bucks and going to him, do you have a problem with it? Nicolay Love Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. I'll start, and I'll tell you right now, I have zero issue with it. If I ran that organization, if I was John Horst, if I was Wesley Edens or Jimmy Haslam or Facitelli or Jamie Dinan, whoever's got say whenever they got say. Absolutely, I'm going to Giannis and asking Giannis, hey, dog, you want Miles Turner? Hey, man, what do you think about getting Dame? Hey, dude, you like Drew Holiday? Yes, I'm doing that. Absolutely, I'm doing that. As we talked about yesterday with that windbag Brian Windhorst talking, this is the thing. You get into desperation mode when you're in a small market and you have a superstar. Why? Because there's no guarantee you'll ever have another one in this market ever again. Be honest. From Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Giannis, you had an all-star in Michael Redd. You had an all-star in Glenn Robinson. You had an all-star in Ray Allen. Sweet. And Bogut, kind of, sort of. He doesn't even reach the other level of the other guys I just said. That's what you had. All-stars? Sure. MVPs? Superstars? Absolutely not. Haven't had one since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and now you get Giannis. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime that we'd ever have one, but we do. And they won an NBA championship while they had Giannis. Something else I never thought I'd see the Bucks do in my lifetime. Still don't think I'll ever see the Brewers do it. But that is something we've now seen. If you're the Bucks, and if you don't give Giannis some power, if you don't let Giannis have some say, you will lose Giannis. All this nonsense from Shams Charania and Brian Windhorst, he's going to wait and see what the offseason does, then he'll make up his mind to go. No, he's not going anywhere. And the reason he's not going anywhere is because he's got all the say in what's going on here. They're giving him options, he's saying yay or nay, and they move. Not saying he can't get that somewhere else, but I'll tell you this much, Charlie, he's not going to find a more creative GM at this point than John Horst of the Milwaukee Bucks. No chance, no how. You may find a GM that's better at drafting than John Horst, fair. Being creative and pulling out deals and figuring out ways to get big money on the books and continue to try to push for a championship, I don't feel like there's anybody better than that guy in the NBA right now.
There isn't. John Horst has done everything in his power, in his mind, to keep Giannis in Milwaukee. If I'm Giannis, you have to be so grateful for what John Horst has done in order to give you what you've needed or wanted in any given situation with this Milwaukee Bucks team. Honestly, even before you were a superstar, they believed in you as an organization before John Horst and before any of that, and they helped give you this platform, and now John Horst took that and has taken that way beyond what you could have ever wished for from an organization. There's a lot of teams, a lot of front offices that wouldn't take this. They would go into this situation, into this offseason, and say, you know what, next season's a crapshoot. Could be a crapshoot beyond that. Giannis, see you later, my man. We don't really care where you go or what happens. Just don't let the door hit you on the way out, even though you gave us every great memory this organization has ever seen, it feels like. I mean, John Horst has by far done what he can. You have to give him some kind of flowers as the star player of the organization and give him all the credit. I think Giannis has done that up to this point.
I think he has too. This nonsense of not just coming out and saying, I'm good, like I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying. I trust John Horst to keep us competitive. To not have that trust, face fronting, that irritates me about him. Keep talking about me, whether or not I'm going to go, when he could stop it in any given moment in time. That irritates me about Giannis. But there is no chance, no how, he can possibly say they haven't done everything in their power to keep him. They let him have say on what they do. They go to him with every possible waking scenario of how to get a different star player almost every other offseason to try and keep him here long-term going forward to try to compete for championships and everything else. So is there anybody listening right now to the fan that says, no, I don't like him having that much power? I'd love to hear the reasoning of why you say no. Nikolai Law, Fan Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. Instagram, too. We're on Instagram at The Fan Milwaukee. You can watch us and stream us live as well on youtube.com/@The Fan Milwaukee. That's the @ symbol. The Fan Milwaukee is our YouTube page. We've only been up for a couple of weeks, so definitely want to come check that out, too. If you're Giannis and you're sitting here right now and you still physically have not said anything about staying, going, or otherwise, and I know he's in Greece, and I get it, and I understand it, how long do you wait, Charlie? How long are we going to drag this out before are we going to wait till training camp and he walks in the front door and goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to stay? Like, how long do we go before he comes out, puts a video out or does an interview and says, I'm here, I'm good, quit talking about me, let's roll.
I still fully believe, whether it's the right thing or not, that Giannis believes that he doesn't have to say anything. The Bucks know that he wants to be a part of this organization, even if he hasn't said it outright. He's hinted at that this is where he wants to be. He's made Instagram posts. And the Milwaukee Bucks, by all accounts, kind of seem like they know he's still a part of this organization and that he still wants to be a part of this organization. Even their social media manager knows that because they continue to post pictures talking about how Giannis is going to be staying and all of that. I mean, they don't really seem like, and especially the moves they've made this offseason, have made it seem like they're worried at all about Giannis going anywhere. Everything is built around Giannis. Every move that they've done so far has been with Giannis in mind, and it's been very clear. Like I said earlier in the show, the Milwaukee Bucks, all the moves that they've made have been made with a clear plan in mind, and that's around Giannis. And if I'm Giannis, I look at that and say, you know what, that's enough for me to say that I'm all bought in, and I don't need everybody else around here to know that I'm bought in, as long as the Milwaukee Bucks know I'm bought in.
Right, and really at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. The other thing that all that really matters is making sure that you are signed up to be a member of the great team over at US Cellular. They've been with them for over a decade now, and right now they have Us Days going on. Now, again, they've been doing this for a little while here, year to year, but it's a cool event. So first of all, my point on all this is they don't have to do Us Days. I already feel a part of the family for the last decade and 2 decades as a customer of US Cellular. They're constantly sending me text messages from US Cellular. Hey, come on in, get this upgrade. Hey, come on in, sprint a prize wheel, have a chance to win this. US Cellular always makes you feel like you're kind of part of the family. I'm not fighting with service reps. I'm not fighting over a bill, nothing like that. That was happening at other places where I was prior to this. And that's why once I got to US Cellular, I never left. So part of Us Days this year, their exclusive event to celebrate loyal customers with unique offers. This includes big discounts on new phones and tablets, plus other giveaways and events like parking lot parties. Some of these parking lot parties around the country I've seen pictures of. They got food trucks, they got DJs, they got bags games going on. Check out where the nearest local event is here in southeastern Wisconsin at uscellularparty.com. That's uscellularparty.com. Going all the way to July 16th, customers who visit their store or their website can check out all the best upgrade offers of the season. And if you're a US Cellular customer, you probably have already gotten a couple of text messages reminding you of the same thing. I'm telling you right now, it's worth following up on, going in and getting a great deal from US Cellular. Coming up next, Tommy Wirtz is out here at Summerfest with myself. We'll get ready for the leadoff show powered by Potawatomi Sportsbook 1 hour before every single Brewers game. And we get you ready for Brewers baseball and the first pitch. Pat Murphy will hear from. We'll get the starting lineups. Look down on the farm with the Building the Winner segment brought to you by Iron Workers. This is the place you want to be for all your great sports coverage. Things we missed coming up next, including Luis Ortiz, Major League Baseball pitcher, and a gambling investigation. Wait till you hear the details of this bad boy. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, here at Summerfest at the Hole in One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and The Fan. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, broadcasting live from Summerfest at the Hole-in-One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and The Fan. Don't forget, go online, thefanmilwaukee.com, for your chance to win Adam Sandler tickets when he comes to town with You're My Best Friend tour, October 5th at Fifer Forum. Again, thefanmilwaukee.com, your chance to win Adam Sandler tickets to go see him October 5th at Fifer Forum, thefanmilwaukee.com, and have a chance to win those Adam Sandler tickets. Out here with me at Summerfest, getting ready for the leadoff show, part of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, getting ready for Brewers baseball. He is Tommy Wirtz, and he'll be doing his show from 5 until 6. Tommy, how are you doing?
I am very good since the last time we talked, Mr. Spark. However, Brewer game officially delayed a little bit right now. So we're going to have a leadoff show no matter what. They're not going to cancel the game or anything in that time frame. So we're going to get through all of this. If you had to guess, is the Brewers lineup in yet?
I would guess no.
No, of course not. It's never in when you need it to be in. I don't understand it. How we doing? Yeah, and they are always the last team to put their lineup in, Sparky. I have asked Drew Wagner. I've heard you ask Drew Wagner.
Yep.
And
nobody knows.
If the you would think that you are insulting journalists' mothers if you ask them about a lineup.
Is that what it is? Or is it strategy? Is there some strategy involved, Tommy Wirtz, to waiting until the very last moment to allow everybody to know what is going on?
Zero strategy in knowing who is in the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers every day. Put the lineup in, Murphy. It's not a big deal.
Maybe he doesn't spin the thing for who plays where until later.
I think he likes to be difficult. You always say after games, win or lose, he's just always curmudgeonly the entire time. I think he likes
tired.
To wait until the last possible minute, scaring everyone in Milwaukee, thinking that they're going to get a fine for the Brewers because they don't have the lineup in time, and he just wants to be like, gotcha, right at the end. That is Pat Murphy. That is his attitude.
Love Pat Murphy. All right, let's talk about this gambling scenario problem we have with Luis Ortiz, the pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians, and what's going on there. So this is the thing. We have the Malik Beasley investigation going on with the feds in the NBA, accusing him of gambling while he was a member of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Correct.
Then as this story has developed, now we're finding out he owes barbers money, dentists money. All these guys' money is what Malik Beasley owes these people. This has been limited to the NBA with 2 or 3 guys now with gambling issues. Now we have a gambling issue in MLB with Luis Ortiz. He now is being investigated by the feds for possible gambling in MLB. So check this out. He apparently, and others, in a game, there was a large influx of money on if the first pitch of a game was going to be a ball or strike.
Third inning. First pitch of the third inning.
First pitch of the third inning,
yes,
right.
Yes.
And now that's a 50-50 chance, right? Ball or strike. There aren't many other options. There's 2 options. Well, apparently everybody and their mama got on he's going to throw a ball on the first pitch in the third inning. Charlie, let's hear what happened.
Pedro Pajes leads off and takes one that is just a little bit outside.
Just a little outside. That ball bounced way left of home plate and hit the backstop. That's how not close that ball was.
Guilty. I mean, innocent until proven guilty is completely out the window.
But we don't know.
You saw that.
It could have been coincidence.
That was the craziest coincidence I have ever seen. The ball wasn't even close.
No.
It would have went behind a left-handed batter in the batter's box.
Well, yeah, but Angel Hernandez, if he was still umping,
it would be close.
You don't know.
On the corner. It would have
been close. It would have been a lot closer than Angel Hernandez. Yes. All right. So I want to talk to both of you about this. Do you think there is a gambling issue more than we think in sports right now, Tommy?
I guess I'm more curious. You also didn't mention what happened with the Detroit Lions just a couple of years ago. Remember,
yes.
Calvin Ridley also missing a whole season based on his. This is not just restricted, like you said, to one sport. It is now all major sports.
Not hockey. Has that been hockey yet?
I was just going to say, didn't Evander Kane get in trouble for something like this?
Maybe.
I don't want to put it out there if it wasn't. But yes, correct. The big 3 sports, MLB, NBA, NFL, these are now multiple examples over the last 5 years in which we have heard of a problem with gambling right now. I'm actually not more concerned on if it is a problem. I am wondering if all of it's connected. If there is a ring right now of professional sports that they find a guy, that people know people through these professional sports in which they are having some sort of bookie or whatever goes on from there, because how can there be so many examples of it now over these last 5 years in which they wouldn't be connected during the time?
I was told when they decided to allow all these gambling sponsors and everything else, there's been talk. I bet you it doesn't happen now, but there was talk in the last 5 years that all of these stadiums were going to have sports books affiliated with them.
Yes.
All of them, right? Is it the United Center that has a sports book in it, I believe, down in Chicago? I mean, so that was the goal, was we were going to have sports books at all these different stadiums. You were going to be able to walk up to a gambling kiosk, put money on the game right there at, like, American Family Field. Boom. Not at Potawatomi at the sports book like everybody else. We were going to put it right there at American Family Field. When you have had these many cases, number one, you have to reconsider doing that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when I brought this up as a possible issue years ago, when this all started, I was told, Sparky, it's not the 70s. We're not living there anymore. These guys don't have to work multiple jobs. They're millionaires. There's no reason for them to gamble on their own games or somebody else's games. Don't you worry your pretty little head. We won't have issues. That's what I was told. I was lied to. Because this is an issue, and these are all involving millionaires. Malik Beasley, now again, found guilty of nothing, is being investigated by the feds. But Malik Beasley has made quite a bit of money in his career. Not Giannis money, not Lillard money,
right,
but millions. More than you, more than Charlie, more than me, right? Combined, he's made all that money. And yet, what do we read? We read he lost his tail end on the plane playing cards. We read he lost his butt playing dice with the Bucks back in 23-24. That was another story that was out there. He owes money to a barber. He owes money to a dentist or whatever. All of this, like, that's crazy. Like, we don't know how much of this is true. We don't know. These are all reports. We'll wait to see what happens. But, man, if this is true, Gamblers Anonymous, man. I'm Malik Beasley. I mean, that is something that it's not just him. There's clearly more than just him involved here.
Right. Obviously, they are too close to the situation in general. If there is an investigation being launched, I understand that you are not necessarily guilty if you are under investigation,
correct,
but you don't want this
innocent
on your name
until proven guilty.
You don't want this on your name at all, all right? It's like, when Ryan Braun originally wasn't found guilty of using steroids during the time, it was still attached to his name. Then eventually it ends up finding out there's another case of it, and he's listed in the Boz, or what was that what it was? Boz, right? That whole lawsuit that came out. So I do think that there is something to be said when it is not just it's not just one sport. These are multiple people that have been caught in multiple different financial situations, as you just brought up. I understand Jonte Porter is not making Malik Beasley money.
Correct.
But they're also not making first-round pick Jamison Williams money during that time as well. This is a huge problem if it's going across sports. It's not just the guys who are at the end of the bench. These are starters. These are first-round picks. There are problems in these leagues. And a lot of it, like you said, maybe attaching it to gambling with sponsorships could be a part of it, but seriously, there is something that needs to be investigated across the NBA, because that has been the league that has been on blast the most as well during this time. And now Luis Ortiz, I don't know how you can come back from that.
Well, we'll see. We don't know if he's found guilty. Yeah, we don't know anything. It's just an investigation. The key here is going to be, will there be more MLB players involved in this investigation? It started with one. And do you remember how that first one, Porter, was? It stated in the report, in the investigation, NBA player 1. It wasn't by name. It says NBA player 1 is apparently what represented Porter. Well, we don't need to say NBA player 1 if there's only one player. We just say the person's name.
That was also Terry Rozier, remember, was involved in that too. He just got acquitted, I believe, but he was also another player.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So clearly there were several involved in that investigation at that point. So with this Luis Ortiz thing, there better not be another situation where it's MLB player 1 and they're like, uh-oh, there's more. Because as commissioners of these sports leagues, Charlie, you got yourself in a tough situation right now trying to restore credibility to your sport.
I also feel like you don't have a full-on investigation like this if there's not more than one person. I think if it's just Luis Ortiz, this doesn't happen this way and isn't that big of a deal.
So you think the feds aren't involved if there's one?
I think so. I think if there's more people involved in this, more than one person, especially a high-profile person like a player in the MLB, that's something that the FBI and the government is going to want to investigate. If it's just one guy with one bookie, I think it's pretty clear and shut over like that. If this is more to it, I think that's when you start getting federally invested.
I like that take, actually. I do think that it would probably be not blown up to the proportion where the federal government has to be involved if it is just one player.
Absolutely right. Things we missed here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, summed up by Wendy's as we broadcast live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook at Summerfest, the Hole-in-One Challenge, brought to you by Lexus and the Fan. In the last segment of the show every day at about 4:40 or so, we go over things that we missed, things that we just couldn't get to on the show, things that broke during the show, whatever the case may be. I saved this from earlier on. I think I saved it. Maybe I didn't save it. Oh, no, here we go. Pat Connaughton with a farewell wrote, 7 years ago, the Bucks took a chance on me, a second-round draft pick who was recently waived and told to go back to baseball. Oof, that had to hurt. Over the last 7 years, a lot of my life's best moments have happened on and off the court. Words can't articulate what these years have meant to me, and pictures can't capture all the moments, but that's okay because this isn't a goodbye, it's a see you around. And a thank you to everyone who helped make the last 7 years possible. Teammates, coaches, owners, management, staff, mentors, partners, volunteers, and Bucks fans everywhere. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened. PC, Pat Connaughton. I ask both of you, Tommy first, do you think Pat Connaughton, when his playing career is over, is back living in Milwaukee doing a sports talk radio show?
Oh, okay. I could be interested in that. I don't know. How impactful do you think Pat Connaughton is to the Bucks organization over these last 7 years?
Well, forget about the Bucks organization. Talk about all the things he's done in the community, from building and investing in this project, investing in that project. He's touched a lot of people in this community.
Sure.
Knows all the movers, all the shakers, all of that stuff. And being one of those guys that does represent the Bucks when he is out as a face in the community for sure. Listen, yes, Giannis is out to a certain degree and so forth, but when we fast forward this thing 15, 20 years, is Giannis still going to be here doing his thing and still coming back? I mean, there are only so many Leroy Butlers that live here after their playing career and don't go back to Florida or whatever and never leave. There aren't a lot of those guys. There certainly aren't Milwaukee Bucks players that you can say that about, right? Ray Allen didn't come back here to live.
Right.
Sam Cassell didn't come back here to live.
Where's Michael Redd right
Big
now?
Dog,
Yeah.
Michael Redd, they didn't come back here to live. None of those guys. So does Pat Connaughton, is he become one of those guys? Does he become a fixture in the community? Do you hear him on Sports Talk Radio doing his thing?
I actually like the take now, too, because he's a multi-sport athlete, so you know he's interested in other sports on top of that, too.
Played multiple sports.
Yeah, and you know what? He was very active in the
Won
community.
Won
the championship.
Played with Giannis.
He's a very defined figure for the Milwaukee Bucks, too, during this time. I mean, everyone knows who he is a Bucks fan on top of that. I like the take. I do think that.
I'll give you another take. Marcus Johnson is the analyst for the Milwaukee Bucks broadcast, and he does a fine job. They've been working Steve Novak into that angle as well. Mm-hmm. You just wonder when Pat C is done playing, if Pat C says, that'd be kind of fun, whether or not they just don't hand the keys over to Pat Connaughton and kind of let him be that guy on this Bucks broadcast for years and years going forward. Because Marcus Johnson played for the Bucks. McLaughlin played for the Bucks. So you wonder if that might be the area to which he is headed if he decides to come back here and be a part of this thing at the end of the day. He is Charlie Usen back there, along with Tommy Wirtz. If you're just tuning in, we are going to have the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook coming up here in about 7 minutes. However, the Brewers and Mets under a rain delay right now. Jose Quintana scheduled to be on the mound for the Brewers tonight if they get this game in against the Mets. They can't make it up tomorrow because they're on their way to Florida tonight to take on the Marlins. That is the other key factor in all of this. They are not going to wait as long as they would another night when they play here the next day and could do a doubleheader. They're not going to wait as long because the Brewers are going to say, hey, we got to get on a plane and go to Florida. We aren't sitting here until 10, 11 o'clock at night to start this baseball game. So I think the patience from the Brewers' perspective is we're going to wait to X, and if it's not cleared up, we're out. We want to get to Florida before it's too late. So whether or not they bang this game and then have to make it up at a later date on an off date or whatever, maybe that is something to consider going forward. But if somehow, some way you're able to steal this game tonight after a rain delay, get this win, get out of here 2 out of 3 against New York, and then get to the Marlins with an opportunity to win 2 out of 3, I think you're good. But I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up yesterday when I wanted to bet both of you knuckleheads about Brandon Woodruff pitching on Sunday and saying somehow, some way this won't happen. And I was saying Mother Nature, do something to the roof like happened in Tampa Bay. Some crazy crap will happen, and he won't make the start on Sunday. Well, guess what? If this thing gets rained out and they push everybody back, Brandon Woodruff is not starting Sunday, and I want my Wendy's.
Yeah. You know what? You are great at predicting when to be a bummer. You have nailed that. You are awesome. All the good news that you try to predict.
You blame me for Mizorowski failing last night because I was so positive and happy about Mizorowski.
And I told you on air as well. I didn't know who you were. And then in the second inning, everything explodes, and I immediately text you where I said, well, I'm not saying you jinxed it, but, and then you replied with what?
Right.
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
yes.
I know. Yeah. I'm not going to deny it. I've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Right, I know. And I've known you for just about a year now. And everything you say, the exact opposite happens, unless you're talking about bad news in which you nail it. You are absolutely on the head. Every time you want to be negative, the exact thing happens. Every time you want to be positive, the exact opposite happens.
Truly talent,
yes, it is a talent.
So what you're saying is I should be an off-the-air guy, let you all host, and just stay out of the way because I keep screwing things up.
No, that's not what I said.
Is that what
I'm
you
just
said?
saying that instead of listening to what Austin Herdina says, do the exact opposite of what you do, and you might make some money along the way, too.
Who's Austin Herdina?
Austin Herdina, Potawatomi Sportsbook Manager. He'll join the leadoff show today at 5:20, right in the second segment. Drew Wagner of Forbes Sports going to join as well.
He's a happy guy.
Oh, my gosh.
Positive.
Well, at least he knows that he's always trying to be negative. You assume that what will happen will be the opposite. Focus Baseball, the sponsor of Drew Wagner, of course, all season long now, too. That'll be a fun topic. We're going to get this show in no matter what. We're going to try to get this baseball game in after.
Beautiful thing coming out. See, I'm the hunk of love. Tommy Wirtz out here at Summerfest by the Hole in One, brought to you by Lexus. Thanks for having out Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's out here the last, 3 weeks, Thursdays and Fridays. Tomorrow, a reminder, no local programming on the Fan tomorrow. Everybody gets back to doing their thing. Coming up again on Monday, Saturday, and Sunday, though. Tommy will be here doing the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie and Jack Pembroke taking Saturday off from Wisconsin Sports Weekend as well. We'll talk to you next coming up on Monday. Have a happy 4th of July. Have a great weekend. It's been Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, broadcasting live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here at Summerfest at the Hole in One Challenge.